Welcome. I know I'm popping on here a little bit early, but I have decided to. Originally, I posted earlier in the week that I was going to go on at 12:30, and oh, okay, it blanked out, but I think I'm still connected. So I'm on a little bit early, but I wanted to pop on here and just share a few things myself before I get started. And for those of you that celebrate Easter, happy Easter. I hope you have a wonderful, fun day. It's snowing here where I am, so it's kind of weird. It doesn't feel very springy today at all. So I'm in like a warm turtleneck. So what I decided to do for every once in a while, I'd like to pop on here and kind of reintroduce myself to some of the new people in the groups. And for the people who don't really know me, I do realize that I never actually did that. I talk about myself a little bit, but I never really tell you about myself. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tina Stinson. Ages ago, I used to sell real estate, and then I transitioned to a new career. I'd say in my late 40s, I guess that started, due to overexposure to a stressful lifestyle. And so I moved into health coaching first, and I became a holistic health coach and did that. I did that kind of a little bit while I was still selling real estate. And then I decided more recently to become a life coach. So I got certified as a professional life coach and am currently very slowly working towards my master life coach. So I'm certified in confidence coaching and life purpose coaching, and just learning new things to help my clients better and help myself better. So getting certified as a yoga teacher is just definitely a personal thing. I don't know if I'll ever teach yoga, but it's something I always wanted to do and try. And so I'm kind of like halfway through that right now, and I'm almost done with my certification in hypnotherapy. And I plan on working with women with the hypnotherapy. I'm not really sure what my focus is going to be, but I'll let you know when I get there. And so those are the things that I'm studying right now. I always try to learn more about the topics I discuss. So I teach deep level self-care practices to reduce stress and anxiety, because this is something I had to learn to do myself after I left the real estate field and had a stroke caused by stress when I was 39. I had to learn to kind of like redesign my life and learn how to change my lifestyle in order to protect myself from and my energy from stress and to live a better life. And it's been a process over 10 plus years now, learning how to do this. And I'm just here to share my journey with you and my continued journey, learning how to do this better, learning new tools every day. And so I cover a lot of topics on here, and I'm live in two groups right now. One of them is Self Care Sunday, and the other one is the Empowered Woman. And I believe in order to be empowered, we really have to be connected to ourselves first. We really have to go inward first, and we really have to love ourselves first. And until we do that, we can't really be empowered. We can't really lead ourselves until we learn how to do these things. And so deep level self-care, which covers setting boundaries and self-love and learning how to de-stress in a way that helps you, among many other topics, being intuitive. I cover at least 10 to 12 topics in this area. Is really a path to be empowered and to help you better yourself the best that you can. And so I just wanted to, like I said, hop on here and tell you a little bit more. My goal is really to empower women and to help women get back to themselves. So, meaning a lot of people feel lost. They've spent a lot of time maybe people pleasing, maybe taking care of family, taking care of career, taking care of your significant other, and not taking care of yourself. Men and women, but women especially tend to be, a lot of this tends to be put on our backs because it's just like a societal expectation and sometimes a family expectation, and sometimes it's just like a generational thing too. And so I look at my children and I see things changing, and it makes me very happy because we can't really fully embody ourselves and then be empowered and be our true selves until we take care of ourselves completely at a high level and love ourselves. And so it makes it really, it stifles our progress as we move along. So my goal is to help women and men get to the point where they feel this way, where they can live their lives with purpose and feel aligned with what they're doing in their lives on a daily basis, which really makes them happy and helps you lose the stress and the anxiety and the burnout. Okay. So that's my goal. That's my goal when I do these lives. That's my goal when I come on here and I talk to you. I'm sharing with you some of the things that have worked for me, some of the things that I'm still trying to master. I haven't mastered all of these things myself, and I continue to take classes and learn more so that I could share these things with you. And I absolutely love doing it. I love if I could help anyone love themselves deeper and feel better and experience more joy and peace and feel at ease in their life on a daily basis, then that makes me really happy, because that's something that I lived without for a really long time. And so I don't want anyone else to feel that way. I want people to be able to resolve that quickly. So I just want to look at the time because I don't want to start talking about the topic before the regular time. I'm just going to sip my coffee. So like I said, here it's a very snowy day, so I won't be spending too much time outside. I tried to go for a walk this morning. It was freezing. And I've already mentally switched over to spring, like so spring clothes and stuff like that. I haven't put away my winter stuff. I kind of switched things out because I have a small closet. So I haven't done that yet, thank God. I still have my warm turtlenecks. But mentally, I've switched over. Like mentally, I want to wear flats. I don't want to wear boots. And so I am just not into the snow, not into it. So today I wanted to pop on and talk about progress, focusing on progress and not perfection. And this is a really personal topic for me. It took me a really long time to understand it. I remember the first time that I heard someone say this. It was Marie Forleo, and I did B School, which is like a business school for entrepreneurs, very popular with women, but there are some men who do it too. It's a phenomenal course if you're just starting out or you're thinking about you want to start a business, you want to start some kind of a side hustle. It's an excellent way to get started. And Marie Forleo says this all the time. I think that exactly the way I worded it, progress, not perfection. And this is so important, especially when you're learning new things. And I think as we get older, we tend not to try new things as much. I think when we're younger, everything is new. It's like we have no choice but to try new things. And then as we get older, we get set in our ways. But it's really good for your heart and good for your mind, and so many other things, to try new things and move forward. And it's once you get set in your ways, it's really hard to sometimes take that leap, to take that step, and with confidence. And so I'm gonna share with you today. I don't want to. Yeah, it's almost time, so I can get started. I am going to share with you today some of the things that made this very apparent. I was like pretty much forced to let go of perfection. It wasn't like a choice. So some funny stories, but so I was forced to let go of perfection, but it was a hard lesson, but it was a really good lesson for me that I learned a really long time ago. And now I master not being perfect. And I'll explain to you in some of the different ways that I am not. I just do things. I don't care if they're perfect, or I just kind of just throw it out there, and much better at it now. So ages ago, when I was a younger mom, so I have 3 kids, and I was married for 15 years. I was with my former husband for almost 20 years. And when we got divorced, so when I was married, I was very lucky. I was able to stay home with my kids. And when I say that I did everything kind of like perfectly, I really did, because I had so much time. I had the luxury of being home with my kids. And I'm so glad that I had that opportunity. I didn't get to be home with them for their entire childhood, but for most of it. And it was really nice to be able to do that. I'd have to say my oldest daughter is 6 years old. There's like a 6 year space in between my oldest and then my two younger kids because I had a few miscarriages in between and stuff like that. So I have this big space in between them. And so my older daughter, I really got to spend a lot of very quality time with. The two younger ones was a little more dysfunctional, but I was, like I said, I was lucky enough to stay home with them, and I couldn't imagine any other way. And I commend women who go back to work and do both of those things. I just don't. I think they're like superhuman. I don't even know how they do it. So I was very lucky. So, but everything was perfect. I was just like, I don't like to compare myself to Martha Stewart, but like that kind of shit, but I'm nothing like Martha Stewart. But that's how I was. Like everything was just perfect, like the Christmas pictures, the outfits, the leaves, all the stuff with the kids, having the kids just right, and the cooking and the baking and making stuff. And I even made my own clothes at one point. I made my own maternity clothes. So I had like all this time to do all these things. And then when now that lessened more and more as I had more kids. You have three kids, there's not a lot of perfection, but I still had a lot of time because I wasn't working. When I got divorced, of course I had to go back to work, and it was extremely excruciating for me because I couldn't imagine not being with my kids. And I just was like, well, what can I do? So I had no college education. I dropped out of college when I became pregnant with my oldest daughter because that's what I went to college later. Like I was 4 or 5. I don't know, 24. I was 25 when I had my daughter. But so I was in college later, but I decided that I just didn't want to do that. I also threw up continuously all day long, so it was kind of hard to go to classes. But I didn't want to do it. I was so focused on being a mom, and I was very happy about that. So I dropped out. So when I was getting divorced, I had no college education. And of course, I was out of the workforce for a really long time. So I felt kind of lost. So I was like, well, what can I do to stay home with my kids? And I was like, oh, well, I can sell real estate. I know how to do, I could do that. I've sold a lot. I've sold many houses over time because we moved a lot with my former husband's job. So I felt like I knew real estate, which is really funny. But so I did that. It was quick. I took a class for a couple weeks. I took a test. I passed the test, and I sold real estate, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But let me tell you, trying to have a high stress sales job, which is 100% commission. So you're not making any, you're basically self-employed. You're not getting paid a salary, or no one's handing you any leads. I know people think that, but that's not how it ever was for me in New York. So, you had to, if you didn't work, you didn't make money. So it was very stressful. And then trying to take care of three kids, I was 2 hours away from family. My former husband was not involved very much. He was basically an every other weekend dad, and that's it. No help with, driving kids to practice or sports or any activities. And so my life went from Martha Stewart to a circus act where we were like the flying trapeze in a circus, and everything was just about to drop and crash and burn. That's what it felt like 24/7. At least once a week, I was double booked for appointments or driving kids somewhere, or from activities, sports, and stuff like that. It never went smooth. And so that was my abrupt learning experience in progress, not perfection. It was so far from perfection, and it took me, I went through like a little depressed period because I was like, thought there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't handle this. And then after a certain amount of time, I was like, this is freaking impossible. It's impossible to work full time. It's impossible to raise three kids by yourself. It's just impossible. And it took me a while. I think it took me a couple of years to just accept that there was nothing wrong with me. This was just a really difficult situation. So that's how I learned. I did end up having a stroke just from all the stress that I was under. There were other things on top of that, definitely a lot more things on top of that. But that was that was the base. Like I said, it felt like we were the flying trapeze act and everything was about to just like drop and crash and burn. So I was living in like that fight or flight survival mode. And so my cortisol levels were high. I was stressed out. I was never relaxed. And so learning to accept that nothing was going to be perfect took me a long time. And like I said, it was a really good lesson that some people never learn. So I feel very lucky to have been forced into this lesson of progress, not perfection. So now, what it looks like now, many years later, at least 10 years later, is, I'm an entrepreneur. And so I have my own business, and everything is, if you want to get anywhere when you're starting your own business and you're an entrepreneur, everything is uncomfortable all the time. So it's not, you're never, if you want to make progress, you're never in your comfort zone. So this is also another thing that you have to get used to. Now, not everybody's an entrepreneur, but when you're looking at your life, I want you to ask yourself, you know, step out of, the busyness. I call it the hamster wheel, where you're just like going through the motions and living your life, and step out of that for a moment and really ask yourself, what do you want in your life? What do you want to experience? Like when you get to the end of your life, you want to look back and say, all I did was work, and I kept busy, and I went through the motions, but I didn't, all those things I dreamed about doing when I was in my teens and 20s or when I was a kid, I never did any of them. So what do you want? What are your dreams? What are your big, huge dreams? Because you do have complete control over the life that you create. But the first step is really deciding the direction that you want to go into, and then just taking that leap and jumping into it and realizing that nothing is going to be perfect. Everything that you want to try that's exciting is going to be new, and you're going to make mistakes. And I hate to say fail, because I don't think of anything as a failure. I think of it as try and then redirect and learn and then try again, because just like when you learn to walk, you never do it perfect the first time, but it's not like you do it once and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm never going to walk, So it's just like that with everything else. And so all those new things that you want to try that you're telling yourself you don't have time for, or whatever excuse that you come up with, and I call it an excuse because I do believe it really is. I go deep inside and figure out what your real fear about that is. Or your fear of being judged, or your fear of what people might think of you, or what society might think, or what your family or your kids or your significant other. Are you afraid what you might look like? You might look like a fool. And so I pop on here all the time and I do lives, and sometimes I look presentable, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I say stupid things. Sometimes I feel like I get my point across. But it's never perfect. And like sometimes I actually write an outline out so I kind of stay on point. But today I didn't have time, so I'm just babbling right now. So sometimes it's just not, it's not perfect, but I don't care, because what's more important to me is the progress. The progress is more important because I want to get this point across to you. Because if I can get this point across to one person, then that one person can try something new. They can step into some magic in their life, and that's more important to me than me looking perfect. And so it's just the perfect example. So to get started with this, I always give like an action step that you can take. And I think the first step is really looking at what you would like to try that you kind of just either put off, or you were like, I'm too old, or some of you might say I'm too young, or it's too late, or I'm too busy, or I don't have the money, whatever it is. Write a list of a bunch of stuff. Make like a wish list. And I recently did this program with a business coach. I keep hitting my head on the shelf. It was like a program that we did in the new year, and it was fabulous. And one of the exercises that we did was making a list of all the new things that I want to experience this year. It could be really small things, it could be big things. So like a small thing that I had on my list was I wanted to ride one of those electric scooters down in Charlotte where I used to live. They're very popular. Everybody goes everywhere on them. And it's an absolute shit show. Just people running all over the place, drunk, kids. Like, it's just, I can't believe no one's been hurt. I'm sure some people have been hurt, but like more people. But I was always afraid because it's crazy. Like, it's a crazy situation. So, but that's on my list. I wanted to do that. So that's a really small, easy thing to do. One time I had a picnic in Central Park with my daughter, and that was another thing that I loved. I want to do that again. I want to run a race with each of my kids. So I'm a runner and I love doing races. So I want to do a race with each of my kids. So there's like all these things on my list. And then it might be something big like selling out one of my programs or having a certain number of clients that I want to work with that feel really aligned to me or something like that. So all these things that I want to experience. I want to learn how to, I want to grow a lemon tree. That was something that was on my list. So what is it that you want to try that you're putting off because you have, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, whatever it is, like throw all those things, the looping voices in your head out. Just throw that out for a moment and allow yourself to actually get excited and inspired and dream big. You want to learn a different language? You want to learn to play a musical instrument? Do you want to travel more? What is it? So make a list and then check off your list. Go through those things this year. Another thing I wanted to read like a book every week. That was on my list. And so it's really fun looking at my list sometimes and like checking the things off that I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did that. That's so cool. And it's just, it's a really great way to like push yourself. One of the things that you might face when you're trying something really new and you're feeling a little insecure and not so confident about it is like this fear feeling. So I want you to really look at that feeling. So when you feel the fear, or what you think is fear, I want you to ask yourself, is there a reason that I really should be afraid? Is something really bad going to happen? Like walk yourself through it. Or is that fear just excitement? Is it just excitement of something that might be new? And I'm just trying to protect myself from like the failure or falling on my face or looking stupid. But how much fun will I have when I do this? Who cares if I look stupid? Who cares? I'm going to have fun. I could care less if I look stupid. So it's like, go ask yourself, is this fear really legitimate? Do I need to be afraid of this? Do I need to be afraid? Is something bad actually going to happen? Usually the answer is no. And usually you could relabel it as, I'm excited. I'm excited. I might be like so excited that the overwhelming knowledge of not knowing what's going to happen with the outcome might just be so overwhelming that I'm labeling it as fear, but it's really excitement. And once you can like feel that, like kind of make that switch from fear over to excitement, like fear is I'm on the street and I'm walking and there's this car swerving towards me and it might hit me. That's legitimate fear. Okay. But being afraid to start something new because of failure or the way you might look or the way it might turn out is you're afraid of something that's just not likely to happen. Whatever you think will happen will happen. So look at whatever that goal is that you want and see yourself coming through it in a positive way and realize that you're excited about doing it, and then try to step into some of these new things. Start small, try something small at first, like maybe you want to learn to paint, maybe do pottery or something like that. But first step that I think you should do is making that list and really letting go and allowing yourself to dream. Make sure there's some ridiculous things on that list. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you could look at your life and look at the things you're spending time doing and thinking about whether you're waiting to do something, you're waiting for yourself to be perfect to do something, whether that be trying to get a new job or starting a business and you think, everything might have to be perfect. I want you to just step out and just do it. And so what that procrastination might look at, like, for example, if you're starting a new business, that procrastination of waiting for it to be perfect would look like not launching your website because you're afraid that there's some errors. Can I just tell you that I don't care how long your website is out there, there's going to be mistakes. There's always going to be mistakes. I have programs where there's typos. I just release the program, and as I go through, I notice mistakes all the time. I fix them when I see them. People tell me about them. I thank them when they tell me. My blog post is, I put blog posts out sometimes the most obvious mistakes and I don't see it. So it's about not putting yourself out there because you're afraid of that mistake. So you have your website done and you never actually launch it because you're like, I have to have someone else read over it. I have to find all the mistakes first. It has to be perfect. When legitimately your website really isn't going to be the place where a lot of your business comes in. It's a really good thing to have so that people can learn more about you, but it's not where you're going to most likely draw your business in, depending on the type of business that you're starting. So it's really not that important that it's perfect. It's something that you can perfect over time. So take the leap. Don't focus on perfection. Just realize that nothing's ever perfect and just take the leap and make some progress. Move forward. I hope that you have fun making your list. If you have any questions about this or you need any help with this, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to help. I hope you have a wonderful spring day. I hope your weather is better than mine. And I'll talk to you next Sunday. I love you. Bye.